Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Lawcast. This time, we're going back to cover NXT's return to Brooklyn. It's NXT Brooklyn 2 from 2016. Kyush, how did the WWE's developmental territory become the best wrestling promotion in the world?
It's almost impossible to think about, but I think the thing that people lose and that we're going to get a chance to go through as we talk about this is it wasn't the best promotion in the world because it was the greatest promotion of all time. It's a reflection of what the world was when it entered it. The WWE that existed at this time is the most boring, flat, disgusting, despicable shit product ever released. There is no AEW. There's just TNA, and it's the dead corpse of TNA. There's nowhere else to go. There's nothing else to like. And then here comes a gift. Triple H gets his apprenticeship, and the first thing he realizes is that if he appeals to those smart fans that are disenfranchised, he'll get the keys to the kingdom. And boy, did he.
Yeah, what he built here is just amazing. Like, every time I revisit one of these shows, I'm just blown away how good this was. I feel like I kind of take it for granted now because the main roster is much better. And in a lot of ways, AEW is just the successor to NXT. Features a lot of people who were in NXT at this point. But this was such a breath of fresh air at the time. Having these incredible TakeOver shows a couple times a year was just amazing.
Yeah, and they didn't overexpose it. They would only have the takeovers. Like, most people weren't even watching the week-to-week TV. Like, it was very rare if you met somebody who actually did. And then the thing of it was is that a lot of these shows, if you watch them in a vacuum, I haven't gone back and watched any of these shows since then. And the prevailing feeling I got from this one was that it's kind of lame and try hard a little bit. But only because now we've lived through a boom period of Triple H doing this with infinite resources.
Yeah. We'll have NXT Brooklyn to talk about in a second. But first, there was a lot of news this week.
Holy shit.
This is a big one. Let's start. I don't know. What order do you want to go in? I feel like we got to start with the Brock thing.
Let's start with the Brock thing. Let's get the yelling out of the way.
WWE brings back accused sex trafficker Brock Lesnar for one more run. I kind of felt like this was honestly, I thought he was coming back at the Rumble, so if anything, I'm a little surprised they waited this long, but it's still gross. And maybe it's naive to be disappointed in both the company and in so many, I don't know, social media personalities whose only reaction is to go like, oh my God, Brock is back. Guys, okay. It's not normal for your boss to offer you a girl to have sex with as like part of a contract negotiation. That's not a normal thing. And I would hope that if that happened to any of you, you would like quit that job and report it to the police.
Absolutely. Okay, I'm going to try to keep this ranting as concise as possible. Brock Lesnar is a despicable piece of shit. Not just because of this, though this would certainly be enough for just about anybody else in any other industry. I mean, he's the same person who, like, rubbed his dick on somebody and he, like, showed his dick to somebody else in the locker room. Like, any other industry, this man's canceled 10 years ago, and he doesn't even get to the Janelle Grant thing. Meanwhile, though, here we are. And not only, this is not repugnant just because he's a former, like, an accused sex trafficker. God knows WWE has attempted to like let those kind of people slip past in the past. It's that they are celebrating him as, my God, isn't it awesome that he's finally come back? And let's not talk about why he was gone. And isn't it awesome that he's here? And this is in like the same 2-week stretch that they have like gone to the Trump White House and like helped them whitewash their bullshit. And like, this has been an unbelievable PR nightmare of a summer for this company, but they just don't fucking care. They've realized
nobody cares.
Yeah.
Nobody cares. Like, it's not going to impact their business at all. It hasn't impacted their business yet. They drew over 100,000 people over these 2 nights of SummerSlam.
And
now,
like
their viewership is down. Like the Netflix numbers have dropped quite a bit from the beginning. I don't know why or what it really means though. They're in a 10-year deal with Netflix, and as we'll talk about in a second, they just signed this massive deal with ESPN.
they have reached an unassailable point where they are literally indestructible, or in as much as any entertainment company possibly can be. They're now in bed with fucking ESPN and Disney. They're not going anywhere ever. Okay?
So they can do whatever they want, and what they want is to have people like Brock Lesnar on their show.
And I guess maybe, like, I would have to say that the depressing thing about all of this is that now that they have the opportunity finally to just throw open the doors and be who they want to be, now they're making very clear statements on what that means, and it is alienating to anyone with a fucking conscience.
It's so interesting to me that they've become much more forward with their politics since Vince left.
Yes, like that's the shocking thing.
It's probably just the Endeavor partnership and that they're becoming more like UFC, and UFC's been very forward with their Trump support. But it's fascinating how, Linda ran for office, but like, I don't want to say Vince kept his politics out of wrestling because he didn't, but it was more subtle.
Like Vince and Trump are actually
a weird deal. Yeah, Vince and Trump are actual friends, but like Trump was never mentioned in WWE. During his political career. And like, Triple H did go to the White House in the first Trump term.
Yeah.
But it was something small. It was not the same guy. Like, this was a much more like, when he went to the White House the first time, it was just like, he went there, like him and Stephanie and his kids like met Trump and they took some pictures for Twitter. Like, it was not him like being on the Physical Fitness Council and appearing with Robert Kennedy is a much bigger thing they did this time.
Yeah. Like, for whatever reason, in an odd way, Vince refused to publicly tell people his opinion on politics. It bled into the product all the time. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
It's not like
JBL, there's 50 the whole Gulf War thing, there's 50 examples of this.
But I think that we always kind of waited for the other penny to drop with the MAGA thing, and it just never really showed up on TV the way that I expected it to.
Just Vince understands, like Jordan said, Republicans buy sneakers too. Democrats.
I was literally about to say Republicans buy sneakers too. I was literally going to say that. Hell yeah. But yeah, and that's the truth. But now this company, A, doesn't give a shit. B, is exposing what we always knew was their politics and their priorities and whatever. And look, I'm not here to tell you people listening to this podcast what your politics should be. Frankly, if you're listening to this, you probably haven't made it as a Republican anyway, but whatever. But like, these are Brock Lesnar's objectively evil regime of evil people doing evil shit that we got rid of, and that they are now letting back in because they think they can. And the worst part is that they can.
Yeah. I'll say, and it's weird to start a sentence with, even if you set aside the sex trafficking thing,
right?
I'm going to do it anyway. Even if you set aside the sex trafficking thing, I have zero interest in seeing Brock Lesnar anymore.
No.
Unless, if he was coming back just to put over Braun Breaker as like the new monster, okay. But I like have no interest in another run. I don't care to see him wrestle Cena. I think he's done. Like, I don't think he has any credibility left. He's been beaten into the dirt by Roman and Cody at this point.
Brock Lesnar and his saggy 53-year-old post-steroids man tits getting gassed, walking to the ring and performing one move. It's not something we need on our programming. Like, and it exposes fear in the company to me. It makes me think that they realized that the Cena thing went so badly and they did not have a backup plan. And like, so they pushed the one emergency button that's still relevant in any way. But this is not a long-term plan. Like, to WrestleMania.
Yeah. All right. Story 2. This massive deal WWE has landed with ESPN. So the pay-per-views starting, I think, with WrestleMania next year, but it's not 100% clear to me yet exactly when it's going to start, but soon. Their pay-per-views will be airing on ESPN's new streaming service. Now, this ESPN streaming service is going to be $29.99 a month, but free if you have certain cable or satellite providers. And different people seem to have a different list. The most recent list I saw didn't include Comcast, which is obviously the biggest cable provider in the country. So that's a lot of people out in the cold. Hulu Live is included because that's owned by Disney. YouTube TV, not currently. We'll see. I can imagine a lot of these services are going to make deals with ESPN because this is going to be a big chip to get people subscribed. But if you don't have one of those providers, $29.99 a month for this ESPN streaming service, which is pretty steep. I'd say just get cable instead at this point.
This is a fascinating test. We just had a big boom period, but most of that boom period consisted of wrestling literally being free to watch for a lot of people. Like, if you already had Netflix or you already had Peacock, you haven't spent a fucking dime on WWE wrestling in years. Literally, for a lot of these people, their entire lives.
Yeah. Peacock, yeah, I remember Peacock was free when they first moved on to it for me because I had Comcast cable and it was just a add-on with it. And like, I don't know what Peacock's raising its prices, but currently I think the with ads tier is like $7.99 a month or something like that.
Yeah, didn't you get it for free? Because like it's for some reason.
I had it for free for a while because it was free with Comcast cable for a long time. And then, they got rid of that, but it was like $6.99 a month or something.
To put it into perspective, most of this audience has not bought a wrestling pay-per-view since WrestleMania 30.
Yeah.
So to suddenly say now it's $30, meanwhile, these pay-per-views they're doing now are fucking in your houses, and those are going to be $30.
Yeah. Good test. We'll see. But for WWE, it doesn't matter. They're getting paid no matter what. And it's like more than a 2 times increase from what they were getting paid by Peacock. It's over $300 million a year. It's a mega deal.
Yeah. We thought if you go back and listen to our podcast from like a couple years ago, we were like, all right, well, this rights boom is going to like burst and they're going to get caught in it. Well, it doesn't matter now. Now they're in with like, once you get in with Disney, you're not fucking going anywhere. And
they'll have ESPN even more. I mean, they've already had a good partnership with ESPN with McAfee, but it's going to get even bigger now. ESPN has a vested interest now. And I think some of the big shows are going to end up airing on like regular ESPN on TV. Sure. It wouldn't surprise me at all.
There's still an ESPN2. There's still ESPN News. Like they got content to fill.
Yeah, I'm sure there's going to be some Sunday afternoons, where ESPN has nothing better to put on TV than a WWE pay-per-view.
This is such an unbelievable like fever dream for us who like lived through like the early thousands when wrestling couldn't get on TV to save their fucking life. Wrestling is literally going to be promoted alongside the biggest sporting groups in the world. But not wrestling, just WWE.
No. And where the archives are going is unresolved. I'll be curious here. If I were Peacock, I'd make a play to try to keep these. They're not worth that much, but they're worth something. And like, at least for me, if Peacock keeps the archives, I'm staying on Peacock. Actually, I'm probably gonna have to stay on Peacock for a good chunk of the year anyway, because they have Big Ten sports now. So I need my Michigan State basketball and football games that are on Peacock. But for sickos, like, the archives have some value. Netflix seems like it would make the most sense, and I hope they end up going to Netflix, but we'll see.
But the thing about Netflix is that they have so much data on there that they regularly have to purge shit. It's not a place that an archive can just sit forever.
So much, and this is a lot of stuff. I mean, it would not shock me. We've seen the pace of adding the raw archives has been very slow, so...
Yeah,
I don't think everything's going to make the trip if it's to Netflix.
I don't know, man. All I know is that the only reason I pay $7.99 a month to Peacock is so we can continue doing this podcast. So if they take them off of there, I definitely won't be keeping that subscription up. I can watch Parks and Rec other places.
And story number 3. I guess we should talk about that SummerSlam show that happened.
Oh, yeah, fuck.
It sure happened. Okay, well, first, let's just start with John Cena turned back face on SmackDown last week.
Yeah, we didn't really mention that before. So they just full on say like he
Retcon.
cuts a promo where he's just like, let's just forget about that. And it's about as blatant a turn as you could possibly do.
He was just like, yeah, The Rock talked me into doing this and it was a bad idea.
And
Which is
like
both the storyline and the reality.
I honestly thought that it was going to turn out like to be like a double cross because it was so obvious, but no, that's just actually what we're doing.
I texted you. I had the worst feeling this was all going to be a swerve and Travis fucking Scott was going to show up at SummerSlam.
I do feel like if Travis Scott's music had hit, he would have gotten the biggest heat in wrestling history.
Can you imagine the reaction if they played that fucking song?
His 25-minute walk to the ring.
But no, I think the Travis Scott thing has actually also failed. I think they've also pulled the plug on that. Meanwhile, Jelly Roll did a great job. Just got his ass kicked the whole match.
Yeah, let me be clear about this. There's a certain kind of celebrity match that you expect somebody like Jelly Roll to have, and especially since it seemed like it was kind of short notice that he'd be in this one. This dude bumped his fucking ass off.
Took a frog splash through the announce table.
Jesus Christ.
And I loved that for once they put a celebrity in the ring and it was just like he was totally outclassed and had no business being out there.
And that's the thing. The celebrity they put him up against is an actual wrestler. Like, hey, Logan Paul can actually wrestle. This is not a fair fight.
Okay, so Cody beats Cena for the title in an absolute classic. Like the best match Cena's had in gotta be a decade, probably since the AJ match at that SummerSlam, maybe the AJ match at the Rumble.
Full disclosure, did not see it, will not see it.
Okay, it kicked ass.
Yes, I've heard that it's awesome.
I do think, I don't know, how does anyone credibly beat Cody when he kicked out of like 6 AAs, the Super AA, he got out of a STF with the rope wrapped around his throat, like how can anyone credibly beat this man?
It's a good point. Also, I loved that callback to the Umaga spot. That was one of my favorite matches of all time, so I did love that. That's a good point. Who on this roster, once like the Brock Lesnar's and the Roman Reigns and the John Cena's filter away, you have yourself a John Cena problem again. We're just going 10 years back in time where you have one star, and where the fuck is everybody else compared to him?
Yeah, looks like Drew's going to get the next title shot based on what they did on SmackDown, which is cool. But Drew's not winning the title.
No, but like, what's the WrestleMania match right now?
Him and Roman again, I think, is that's all that comes to mind. Maybe him and Punk.
It would be fascinating to do a match 3 years in a row, but the last two have been remarkable successes. So, I mean,
it would be 3 out of 4. And didn't they do that with Austin and Rock and Austin? 15. I guess it was 3. That was Rock and Austin was 15.
There was always a year in between.
17, 19. Yeah, true.
So they would have done it 3 years in a row for Austin hadn't been hurt.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know where any of this stuff is going now. But the Lesnar thing, I can't help but find myself impossible to be actually interested and invested, but it is curious to imagine where it could be going.
Punk won the belt for 5 minutes before Rollins cashed in on him. I was glad that well, I do think it would have been better if Rollins had cashed in on Cena or Cody. I would have preferred that. But I'm glad they didn't change the plan because it got out. I think that would have been, stupid to change this great storyline they had set up.
Right. Like, the point with Punk is the chase. Like, you don't want him as champion. You want him to be chasing the title. Giving him a taste of it and having Rollins take it away is effective. I do think it would have been more effective if he had been like right there. Like, letting him taste the title is even more than I'd let Punk do at this point. Like, he needs to chase completely. But whatever. Rollins was a star here. I fucking loved him coming out.
And the Kaiser Soze dropping the crutches.
We probably don't give him enough credit, but this isn't the place to litigate that.
I thought the first night was terrible. The second night was pretty good.
First night, unwatchable. Like most of that show was
miserable show. And I actually liked Punk versus Gunther, which, was a match that people had different opinions on. I liked it.
I mean, it was a 30-minute, mostly slow down psychological wrestling match.
But I appreciate getting one of those once in a while, because everything we get now is so fast and so many big moves and so many kickouts. I like changing things up and seeing guys work a little slower sometimes.
Oh, I'm not going to be critical of it at all. But you know who's not used to that kind of match? Their audience.
Yeah. No, that's the problem, is they've trained their audience to only react to the big moves.
Like, yeah, this is a TikTok wrestling company. Like, we are not prepared for long-form wrestling content.
All right. Let's turn the clock back to August 2016. So we are 1 year removed from NXT's big coming out party, which was the Brooklyn show in 2015. Something very important about that show. I was there.
Yeah.
I had no idea how big it was going to be. Like, I
You were
bought a
just there
ticket
for SummerSlam, right?
No, I didn't end up going to SummerSlam. I went for I just happened to be living in the Northeast at the time, and I was like, oh shit, this would be fun to go to. So I bought a ticket, and I bought the ticket in the upper deck because it was cheap. And I'm like, oh, I'll probably be like the only person in this section. And then I get there and it's sold out. Like, it was crazy. It was like 15,000 people there.
Yeah, that was one of the most shocking sellouts, I think, in wrestling history, because they were expecting like 2,000.
Yeah,
and they
I was sure when they announced they were going to do. I was surprised when they announced they were going to do it there, because I thought they'd do it in a smaller arena. And then I was like, oh, but they'll just set it up for like 5,000 and put everybody on on the side, like facing the camera. Nope, sold the place out.
And it's funny because it's one of those things that really grew organically, wasn't heavily advertised on WWE TV. It was really more of like a word of mouth thing. You could see it on the network, but who was really fucking watching the network? Yeah. I don't think any of us realized that we were all watching it until Brooklyn.
They hadn't done a show outside of Full. I mean, the only show outside of Full Sail, they had done a house show that WrestleMania weekend that like sold out a small, like a kind of a mid-sized venue. I think they did like 4,000, sold like 4,000 tickets or something. And that was really impressive. On WrestleMania weekend, I was stunned they did 4,000, much less 15K SummerSlam weekend. And sure, it's New York, but it's still a stunning achievement.
And not only do they put on this show in front of this crowd, but the show delivers beyond, and including a match between Bayley and Sasha that blows people's minds.
I think that's the best match I've ever seen live. I'm trying to think of if I've ever. I'm like, I have not seen a ton of great matches live. That's got to be number one.
It would be up there for me. That's for sure. Yeah.
And Finn Balor beat Kevin Owens in a ladder match to retain the NXT title. Samoa Joe had his first NXT TakeOver match.
Justin Liger was there.
Yeah, I got to see Justin Liger wrestle. And somehow Blue Pants was the most over person on the show, and she was never heard from again.
Yes, who committed the crime of getting over.
Yeah, was that the whole story with her? Like, what was the deal with her never being booked again?
So Blue Pants was Leva Bates. She was she wrestled for Shimmer, she wrestled for Shine, other wrestling companies, but she was also a stunt performer at Universal Studios, and that was her real life day job. So she was just in Florida, so she did a bunch of jobs for them whenever they needed somebody to come in and like do some enhancement work, because she was just there, literally like across the street from the Performance Center. And she would always wear, what she literally wore was her Wolverine cosplay costume from her stunt show. That's why they called her Blue Pants, because her Wolverine costume had blue pants on it. And literally, she just did it so often that the crowd, who was the exact same people every single fucking week, just like the ECW arena type of shit, like just started going into business for themselves and putting her over. And so the crowd was so fucking into it that it just became a thing. But she was never under contract.
Nope, man. They just stopped booking her, and I completely forgot that she was in NXT, that she was in AEW.
Yes, very briefly as the
The
librarian.
librarian. I mean, her Wikipedia page says she was under contract until 2023, which is probably true, but I don't think they booked her after 2019.
No, so that was one of her and Peter Avalon as like the weirdo nerds was like one of those experiments from early AEW that got jettisoned right away.
Yeah, what a strange run. Anyway, NXT is still rolling. I mean, they did TakeOver in London in December. That was super cool. They did an insanely good show. Maybe the best one they ever did was WrestleMania weekend in Dallas.
Yes. So that's really where we are. This is the year that like NXT, at least virally, surpasses WWE in terms of just like what people online are talking about, what they're thinking about, what they're excited about. Everyone is talking about NXT. And again, the reason that Brooklyn was so well thought of also is that the SummerSlam it was up against is one of the worst shows in wrestling history. Main evented by Brock Lesnar versus Randy Orton in that match where he just murders him.
I remember at this time, this is when they brought the roster split back on the main roster. I remember spending like hours on the forum, like arguing that they should replace SmackDown with NXT because that was the hot brand and they could have an actual like split with two different shows with different feels, with different styles. I don't know if I'm right or wrong about that, but man, that would have been cool if they'd at least tried.
It is a thought.
Yeah.
And like, this is still at the point where NXT is still functionally a developmental promotion.
Yeah.
There's an even split between like indie wrestlers and
it's an incredible mix of 40-year-olds and 22-year-olds.
Yes. And they're all fucking each other.
Yeah, weirdly enough.
Yeah. But literally, so yeah, like on the shows, you'll have like Samoa Joe and Finn Balor and Nakamura, but you'll also have people that they developed themselves, like American Alpha and the Revival. And like, there's a lot of homegrown talent here, just rubbing elbows with some of the best wrestlers on earth. It's a great formula.
Oh, so what are we going to get tonight? Joe, I watched the show and I can barely remember what's on it. Joe versus Nakamura, Asuka versus Bailey, Revival versus DIY.
Bobby Roode and his debut versus Andrade.
Yeah. Andrade Cien Almas.
Yes, Ember Moon versus Billy Kay and Austin Aries versus No Way Jose.
That's an interesting mix.
I do want to suggest a game for this one. So let's I actually have my original notes from Q Scouts, which I used to do on my blog that I used to do.
You have to predict who you liked and who you didn't like.
I mean, you can do that, or we can just say like what we thought would happen with these people back here. Yeah, let's just go through and be like, what did we predict from them? Because I actually have my predictions, and you can just kind of put yourself back in your own shoes.
Yeah,
and I just think that would be fun because really none of these people turned out the way I thought they would.
All right, before we get to the show, are you ready for this summer of 2016 lightning round?
As I recall, this was a weird summer, so I'm excited for this.
Some strange things happened. Endeavor bought the UFC from Lorenzo Fertitta, setting in motion a series of events that would end with Endeavor owning WWE.
Boy, would those words have been fucking gibberish if you had been back then.
Conor McGregor beat Nate Diaz via split decision in one of the biggest fights in UFC history. I think that was supposed to be on UFC 200, but I think they had to delay it a month because one of them got hurt in training.
Yeah, and yet somehow that feels like the last big Conor McGregor fight that ever really happened.
So as a result, they brought Brock Lesnar back for UFC 200, and he triumphantly beat the shit out of Mark Hunt, won by unanimous decision, but then failed his post-fight drug test.
This is one of the funniest things that's ever happened because literally they're like, fuck, we don't have a main event, fuck. They go to Vince, beg for Brock, give him a huge payday. Brock comes in. He's supposed to lose to Mark Hunt, who's like their new Brock Lesnar. He beats his fucking ass.
Such a, what a baby face. Like, I remember when he did this, I'm like, oh, they got to put the title on him now. Like, they got to put the WWE title on him after he did that. After, he defended the honor of pro wrestling. After he hadn't fought in 5 years, and his last couple UFC fights were bad. Like, he looked finished when he left UFC.
Yeah. Like, literally, I'm sure Inoki got an erection that didn't go down for days after Lesnar got in there and whooped some fucking ass. Then he fails the drug test, says UFC's for pussies, and then bails.
Never fights again, although they did do that angle with John Jones that one time.
Yeah, it's just so funny. Like, what a weekend.
Ric Flair got engaged to Wendy Barlow, who had played Fifi the Maid back in early 90s WCW. They did get married, and they stayed married for a while, but they divorced, I think, a year or two ago.
I can't remember. Were we doing a random show? For some reason, I went down like a Google dive on on Fifi the Maid because I had never heard of that before. I can't remember what show we were doing about that.
I think we talked about her. Okay, it was funny because Fifi the Maid was 93 WCW. So in kayfabe, 1 month Flair is banging Fifi, the hot French maid, and then the next month, they have the match with Vader, and they're portraying him as like a humble family man with his real family.
Yep.
That was when we talked about Fifi the Maid.
That makes sense.
Sin Cara beat up Simon Gotch in a backstage fight. This is not the original Sin Cara. This is the second Sin Cara. This dude was such a badass.
This dude who no one in the locker room liked. Apparently a total piece of shit. But I think he is literally
5-0, I think.
I think he's the most undefeated backstage brawler in wrestling history. People would try him and he just kept whooping their asses.
John Moxley made his disastrous appearance on the Steve Austin podcast.
Oh. I don't even know how to unpack that right now.
He was just so broken by W. Even he was literally the world champion, and you could just see he was fucking miserable.
Austin kept trying to bring something out of him because Austin had pretty clearly been like, "Oh man, I can't wait to. This kid's got such fire," and he's just depressed.
Yeah, he's like, I don't know. I guess it's fine. It's okay. It's cool. I guess.
One of those things where you wish you could go back in time and pat him on the back and be like, "Hey, buddy, look at this thing that you did in the year 2025. It gets better."
In a couple of years, you're going to get to go to Japan and wrestle in the G1.
You're going to have a great time.
Speaking of the G1, Kenny Omega won it, defeating Naito in the finals. Coming out party for Omega.
Yeah, man. Yeah. What a fucking moment that was.
The company announced a second quarter profit of only $862,000, which was its lowest in years.
This is
quarter with a WrestleMania. That's horrifying.
I don't think we really appreciated that was the closest that they came since the 90s to really being in business trouble.
They must have had a negative quarter in 2014 with the network launch, but that was much more understandable. They
were spending a ton of
huge upfront costs with that. Here, there's no excuse.
They're just not making any money.
No. No one's buying tickets to the shows. They torched their pay-per-view business with the network, and the network was doing half the subscribers it was supposed to.
This is a genuine question. If NXT never happens, does this company go out of business?
No, I think they were unstoppable. But I don't know if the boom they ended up in could have happened without NXT.
I mean, the next 5 years, really Vince is just riding the wave of NXT, even though every single time one of the NXT people shows their head on the main roster, he immediately stabs them in the back and sends them into obscurity.
Rhino won a primary to be the Republican nominee for state representative in Dearborn, Michigan. He did not win the general election.
No, the fuck he didn't, and I almost moved to Dearborn just to vote against him.
Go door to door telling people how much his matches suck.
Listen, some people are haters. Some of us really work at it.
Joey Styles was fired from WWE after an interview where he critiqued the company's product. This is weird. I feel like the Observer I read didn't. I remember him getting in trouble for but I think it was something else he got fired from where he made some just kind of crude jokes on commentary.
I don't remember what that was, but I think you're right. I remember something like
this
that.
This was really just he had been working there forever, running the website. He'd been off commentary for years at this point, but it seemed like he had a good gig and he was a valued member of the company, and then he was gone. It was right after he had done an interview, but he was he was a little bit critical, but not bad. He he said he didn't like 3-man announce booths. I think he said like, Roman Reigns is over as a babyface as we wish he was. Like, it was just like the most innocuous stuff.
Yeah, obviously true facts.
Yeah. And finally, the hammer. Lucha Underground's season ended with Dario Cueto murdering undercover cop Cisco and being arrested.
A plot twist that I'm sure had you on the edge of your fucking seat.
He got out of it. I don't really remember how.
Of course he did. Otherwise, the show would have been over.
That would have been a real bummer if the temple just ended.
You just see like a clip on Twitter of him going to jail, and it's like, well, that's the end of that.
These guys are still under contract for like another 16 years after this. Yeah, Ultima Lucha Dos featured Rey Mysterio versus Prince Puma in the main event.
Yes, unfortunately, yes, they are under contract for a million years because they've all accidentally signed contracts they didn't read.
All right. Before we get into the show, let's go outside the bubble, the segment in which we talk about what else was going on in the world beyond wrestling at this time. Donald Trump shook up his presidential campaign by firing his campaign manager, Paul Manafort, and replacing him with Steve Bannon and Kellyanne Conway, who would, of course, right the ship and lead him to victory in November.
Yeah. Somehow this show seems 500 years ago, but we're still in the midst of this. Yeah. In sports, the biggest story was the Rio Olympics. Usain Bolt completed his triple. I didn't write down what that was. Yeah, I can't remember. Was it like the 100?
Like the 100, the 4x100, and I don't know what the third thing was.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Yeah.
You remember real fast.
Michael Phelps won his 23rd gold medal, which was a record.
God. Probably a record that will be broken because they all do get eventually, but it's going to be a while, it feels like.
Pretty impressive. This was the Simone Biles breakout. She had 4 gold medals here, is where she became a superstar.
Fuck yeah. Though she wasn't crystallized as the greatest of all time until the following Olympics.
No. And golf returned to the Olympics for the first time since the early 1900s.
Which caused millions of people all over the world to turn on their TVs at 9 o'clock in the morning and say, "Oh shit, golf's in the I
always thought it was so strange that it wasn't. I have no idea why it wasn't. Like, it's one of those. I mean, America's got a clear advantage because, like, when they do the international competitions, it's like America versus all of Europe or versus the rest of the world other than Europe. But like, there's talented golfers from all over the world. Like, golf's popular in Japan, South Korea, South Africa, like throughout Europe. Like, it's not like a sport that America totally dominates.
I don't know when we would possibly ever have any reason to mention this again, so I'm just going to sneak it in here. What do you think of them introducing flag football into the Olympics?
It's going to be so fun. I think it's crazy, but like, it's going to be so fun to watch the NFL players play. I also love the like professional flag football players who are like, we deserve our chance. No, you don't. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah. If you feel like you deserve your chance, then go ahead and try to play those NFL players.
Let's see you go try to cover Justin Jefferson.
Yeah.
It'll be like pros versus Joes.
But if this really takes off, I feel like it's going to have like a dream team effect on the rest of the world where it's like, I don't think they play flag football all over the fucking world. They barely play it in our country. But when the best athletes start to play.
Cheap Thrills by Sia was dominating the pop charts.
I hate that song.
Tops at the box office. Star Trek Beyond, Jason Bourne, and Suicide Squad. This was not a great summer for movies.
No. I was about to say, the actual Star Trek remake was good, but that was the next one, right?
This is the third one. This is even after the Khan one. Yeah, this was like a franchise kill. I mean, I think the other thing that happened, somebody in the cast died in a horrible accident, but I think there was also just not a ton of appetite for another movie anyway.
I think that happened between 1 and 2, and they just
kept is that right?
Yeah, Chekhov died after the first movie.
Oh, shit. I didn't realize that. I thought it was before this one.
No, they went ahead and made the Cumberbatch movie anyway.
Yeah, I'm surprised they haven't. Like, I can understand how they didn't continue with that franchise. I'm surprised there hasn't been more Star Trek. I mean, I guess there's been some shows, but I'm surprised there haven't been more Star Trek movies. Like, it just feels like, with all the like shitty franchise IP being pumped out, like there's actual juice in Star Trek.
Right. But yeah, so it was a summer of franchises that there was just no juice in. Suicide Squad was successful-ish, but Jason Bourne is
one of the worst movies of all time, and that Jason Bourne movie was awful. And I'm a huge fan of the Bourne movies.
Yeah.
That one was terrible. Shouldn't have been made.
Nope. That was just a cash grab.
To get into the show, it's Saturday, August 20th, 2016. We're at the Barclays Center in Brooklyn, New York, with over 15,000 people in attendance. Holy shit, they did it again.
When they bring the lights up.
Yeah.
And like, it's so funny now because my thoughts on Triple H are very different now in 2025 than they were back here. Because here, he's doing like a cult leader, Paul Heyman thing. But it worked then because we wanted it to be true so bad. Like, he was the anti-Vince.
Savior.
Like, this turned his whole reputation around. For 15 years, he'd been the most evil man in all of wrestling. Any smart would have run him over in the street and smiled about it. And here, he's a conquering god, to us specifically.
And on commentary, we have Tom Phillips and Corey Graves. I could not remember who this play-by-play guy was until I looked it up. I was like, this voice sounds vaguely familiar, but I can't place the name. Tom Phillips. I think he ended up calling SmackDown at some point after this.
I do think he and Graves were a really good team. I just don't feel like, honestly, probably what happened was he got to the main roster, Vince got in his ear and ruined him just like everybody else.
That's what I was going to say is I think everybody was better in NXT when they were like being produced by Triple H, who's way more hands off. I just think Michael Cole like was able to survive the Vince era, but he's so much better like now that he doesn't have Vince screaming at him.
Oh, he's one of the greatest of all time now. Yeah. Before he was just like literally a puppet that Vince's like voice came out of.
In the dark matches, I believe these were taped for NXT TV, is the way they would usually do these. Is the first TV after the takeover would have a couple matches they taped from before, and then kind of the fallout from the takeover, which I always really liked that style, actually.
I loved NXT TV because it was an hour-long TV show that mostly recapped what happened before. Then you get like 3 character-building segments, 2 short matches, and you're out. Like, I love that. That's a perfect wrestling TV show for me.
Ty Dillinger beat Wesley Blake in 9 minutes and 12 seconds, and the Authors of Pain beat Nick Miller and Shane Thorne, the team of TM61, in 6 minutes and 55 seconds.
Yes, that was TMDK during their brief sojourn with NXT.
The opening package talks about where everybody was a year ago. Bayley had the biggest night of her life. Joe had his first takeover match. Bobby Roode was in TNA. Nakamura was in Japan. I thought this was really cool. I liked this.
I loved this. It was very funny that Roode had to be like, a year ago, pause. Who would have thought I'd be here?
Yeah. Although, I'm trying to remember, was he on the one a year before this? I think he did show up. Wasn't he in the crowd?
Was it a year? I thought that was
Dallas. No, that must have been Dallas. That's right.
Yeah.
It wasn't that early. I love, man, those crowd debuts were so cool.
And it was so smart because they could get people before the NDAs were up and they could literally just be like, just sit in the crowd.
Yeah, they're right there.
Look. So you know they're coming.
Yeah. Opening match, No Way Jose versus Austin Aries. I always liked No Way Jose. I feel like he could have had a nice run as just an undercard babyface. I just think at some point WWE got in their heads that if somebody's not going to be pushed hard and be the world champion, they shouldn't be on the roster. And it's like, no, there's totally room for just a fun, like, opening match act that gets the crowd going. And that's what No Way Jose is.
This guy is a 6'2" brawler with a good body and a great look and great music and charisma. Like he could have just been the new age Godfather, but instead we like they just it was during this first match that I really got struck by the thought, the amount of weight that the music in NXT carried back then. Every single fucking theme is a banger. Like,
no, I've heard people hated these CFO guys backstage, which probably explains why they fired them. But man, did the music get worse when they went to whoever the guys they replaced them with were.
literally, like all the personalities for all of these guys is just their theme songs because they don't get that much characterization. But like the music is pulling so much more weight, and Triple H has given so much creative freedom to the music director of NXT that like the themes of the shows are awesome, and the themes of the pay-per-views are awesome and young and fresh.
Austin Aries has that great James Bond theme.
Oh God, it's so good.
Wasted on him.
Yeah, I fucking hate Austin Aries. Fuck Austin Aries, but my God, is that a good theme?
This match is okay. Nothing special. It was just strange. Aries got beat up for pretty much the entire match, and then he caught Jose in his submission and got the submission win. It was interesting.
It's a huge pop. So, like, I don't know. I
guess you're just like, it's kind of the 50-50 booking of if Aries is going to go over, let's try to make Jose look really strong in doing the job.
This also does kind of expose what the problem is with having a bunch of like new trainees who you're developing next to like great indie wrestlers, is that occasionally you'll have a match like this where like Aries kind of makes Jose look like shit because he's just way better than him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for all the things you could knock Austin Aries for, like not being talented is not one of them.
No. In fact, I'll even say a nice thing. It sucks for the best thing they probably could have done with their cruiserweight division is to have him have been the first champion of it.
Yeah.
Because like really he's what they were looking for.
That's going on right now. We get a few references to the Cruiserweight Classic tonight.
Including one of the most like look, I knew that was going on at the time, but like in the next segment, isn't it literally the next segment where Nakamura's backstage and Kota Ibushi's just randomly sitting in his locker room?
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Aries tries to beat up Jose after the match, but Kenta interrupts him and hits the GTS. This was Kenta's return after he had been out with a shoulder injury for something like a year. Like, and they had set up like it seemed like it was going to be Finn Balor who would put him out. That like Balor was losing control of the Demon or something like that. But Kenta was out so long they just dropped that idea. They never revealed who injured him.
Also, during his first run, they never let him use the GTS. Obviously, because of course the problem with Kenta in WWE is that his two finishing moves were notably taken by Daniel Bryan and CM Punk, who are pretty famous people. Yeah. But so like all the time that he's gone, that's when he starts his Twitter campaign about how CM Punk's a prick who stole his move.
True.
Which is true. So like the fans start ravenously like chanting, "Go GTS, GTS." And when they let him do it, I remember popping huge. Like, fuck yeah, you gave him it back. I thought it was gonna work out this time.
Just it kept getting hurt.
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about the people in this match. Yeah, so what did you think about Austin Aries at the time?
Mega talented. I thought he was going to have a real, especially with the roster split being back, I thought he would have had a really nice run as a mid-card heel and probably been an Intercontinental Champion.
Yeah, I certainly would have been surprised to hear that his biggest success on the main roster would be as a commentator. But yeah, that is what happened. I don't even
remember that.
I think he was the commentator on 205 Live, and he was actually really good at it.
Yeah, that's probably right.
Yeah, I thought that there was a kind of a collection of guys that were just kind of floating around NXT who weren't even really a part of it per se. I wasn't even sure if he was signed to the company formally. Like Joe did that for a while too, where he did a couple shots before he actually signed. So I didn't think that he was actually going to be a long-term part of the company.
And I would have thought No Way Jose would have had a nice run as just, an opening match babyface. But they called him up to the main roster at some point, but he just didn't last.
Yeah, I have him down on my sheet as being like a lot of potential, like a B- potential, which is still plenty of potential, but he's like F+ ready. And they just sent him out to die.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the bad things about this roster split was a lot of people got called up before they were ready. Like Apollo Crews got called up so long before he was ready.
Yeah, No Way Jose's gimmick was ready for the main roster, but he wasn't. No. That's the problem.
Next up, we get Billie Kay versus Ember Moon. This is a quick match, just a showcase for Ember, and she gets the win in less than 5 minutes.
What did you think the first time you saw the O face?
What the hell was that?
That's her Ember Moon's finisher.
Oh, her that rolling stunner.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of the coolest moves I've ever seen.
It's called the O face because that's what you look like after you see it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Big Ember Moon fan. I was there for a TakeOver the year after this when she almost beat Asuka, and I thought she was going to.
Yeah. In terms of like our scouting, I thought when she was in Shimmer that she had the potential to be the biggest women's star in the world.
Yeah. Understandable.
But I didn't think that Ember Moon could be the biggest star in the world. There's something about this branding that just didn't click with people, I think.
What was her character like in Shimmer? How was it different?
She was exactly what she is in Ring of Honor now, just like a shit-talking badass.
Okay. Versus, this character, I'm not sure I ever really understood what this character was supposed to be.
It's kind of like a cosplay queen. It's sort of what like Lyra Valkyria is kind of doing now, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, it just doesn't. She's just trying to be cool for the sake of being cool, and it doesn't suck, but it just doesn't click. And her music doesn't really work with her, and her matches don't quite work. It is what it is.
Yeah. And Billie Kay just struck me as a perfectly solid, like mid-card, mechanic. I didn't think she'd be a huge star, but I would have thought she'd just be somebody who'd be a solid mid-card heel who'd put the bigger women over.
I saw big potential in her because I had seen a lot of her in Shimmer when she was Jessie McKay, and she had some incredible matches like Sarah Del Rey and people like that. I hated this gimmick. I didn't get it. I didn't know
what is this gimmick?
She's an opera
singer. We have this issue with so many of these women where I'm just like, what is the character even supposed to be?
Yeah, the character is a theme song. They come up with a theme song. They say, this is your theme song. Build a gimmick around it. And like, that's just sort of where we're at. So like she's like fancy, I guess.
Yeah.
Eventually she will find the Iconics, and like the fact that they ever let those two go is a crime because people that talented should stay on your roster forever. Yeah, at this point, I didn't think that they would ever tap into anything with her with the way they were using her.
Next up, Bobby Roode versus Andrade Cien Almas. Oh, I'd forgotten all about like this train wreck they brought Andrade in as this baby face with the suspenders and the weird. What the fuck is this supposed to be?
Are they trying to do like the Bariquas again?
That's what it reminds me of the Bariquas.
Yeah.
Mexican, not Puerto Rican.
Yeah. And again, so they took his mask off for this. Like this is
understandable because he's a super handsome dude.
Yeah, when I heard that they signed La Sombra, who was probably the best luchador in the world at that point, I was really excited. And then they said that he took his mask off, and I was like, "What, you motherfuckers?" And then I saw his face, and I was like, "Oh, I get it."
Oh, looks like a movie star.
He's maybe the most handsome man I've ever seen.
Yeah. Why is it that Andrade has just never clicked in the United States?
Gosh, I don't know.
Yeah. In NXT, like once they made him a heel, like he was good in NXT. Like he had that amazing match with Johnny Gargano. Absolutely love that match.
I think like Roosh and some other guys have had this problem too. The really personality-based luchadors have had trouble with, I think, the nuances of the characters they're trying to portray not getting across.
Probably
so like
right.
Their promos don't really land, and it's not about English and Spanish translation. I just feel like the way they know how to be heels doesn't resonate. You know what I mean?
Probably right. I don't feel like I've ever had a great grasp of what Andrade's character is supposed to be.
Yeah. And I don't know. He's certainly capable of playing a great character. He's fucking capable in the ring. That's for goddamn sure.
Yeah. But just it's never come together. And I feel like he's just sort of the Jeff Jarrett of this boom period, the guy who just keeps jumping back and forth between the companies.
And that's a good way to look at it. Is another part of it is he hasn't been loyal enough to anybody to really get a real push.
Yeah, they wouldn't push him in AEW because I think they knew he was out the door.
It's one of those things too where like if we weren't in a boom period and there were less stars around, I feel like he'd get a really big try from somebody. But like nobody has to invest in someone like Andrade right now, so he just kind of floats.
We were at that SmackDown last year. He had that killer match with Carmelo, that like 20-something minute match with Carmelo Hayes.
Yeah, that just like literally lit up the whole place. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. He's as good as anybody in the world in the ring.
And Bobby Roode has debuted and set the territory on fire with his unbelievably great entrance song.
Again, the Bobby Roode character is never anything else other than the entrance. Again, everyone in this company is just an entrance. But that's because Triple H understands intimately that the entrance is your whole fucking thing.
Yeah. I mean, he's like right. Bobby Roode, you know, he's a perfectly good mechanic. The personality isn't amazing, but you give him this incredible entrance, and yeah, he's, you know, a world champion caliber.
That's the thing, is that like the moment that song, and I remember I heard the song on like iTunes before I heard it like in an actual entrance because they were like just released it. And it was just like the most bangers fucking song anyone's ever attached to a wrestler. And I was like, what the fuck? Yeah. Where did this come from?
No reason to go too hard.
And then actually Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa actually get over on with like the internet fans because they do this series of clips where they just like stalk Bobby Roode around and then play his theme song and run away giggling.
All right, so Andrade shows off, he humiliates Roode, and then he goes to the top and gets crotched, but he comes back, hits a springboard corkscrew plancha, and then a springboard crossbody back into the ring. A little bit later, he goes for the hammerlock DDT, but Roode fights out and he hits the glorious bomb for the win. This was okay. I don't know.
Yeah, I think okay is all that you can really say about it. And that's pretty much true about all of Bobby Roode's WWE matches. I don't know that he ever had one that was above good, but I don't know that he ever had a bad one either.
No.
That's Bobby Roode in a nutshell for you.
What would I have thought? I would have thought Andrade was going big places because I'd be like, this company needs more Latino stars, and this guy's clearly got something.
So I broke it down into 3 categories: in-ring, star power, and readiness. Andrade, I did like a B+, B+. Like, I didn't know if they'd ever tap into it, and they certainly weren't at this point, but he had all the tools, and he continues to have all the tools.
Yeah, to this day.
But I didn't really think this character wasn't going anywhere.
No, this character is terrible, and they improve it, but they never really find the character for him.
They never should have taken Zelina Vega away from him. Like, those two as a pair were a thing.
Yeah, do we think they dropped that because of his real life marriage to Charlotte?
I don't know. I think they dropped it before that.
Yeah, that could be.
I think he was in AEW when they got together, wasn't he?
Oh, good point. Yeah, him and Charlotte were long divorced at that point.
But I think she and Aleister Black were together at the time, so maybe that's what it was.
Yeah, this gets tricky. Aleister Black, basically Andrade, same story.
Literally, they're just following each other around.
Both got to beat Cody's ass.
True. And then there's Bobby Roode, who I did a B+, C+, A, because obviously you can't be more ready than Bobby Roode is. Like, he's a finished product.
He became Intercontinental Champion, exactly what I thought of you. I don't know if he was ever actually the Intercontinental Champion. He might have been the U.S. Champion, but like he became exactly what I would have thought he would have been. Yeah,
you knew exactly what the trajectory of Bobby Roode's career was going to be, and there's a lot of value in that. But he was never going to be a star.
No, not on the main roster. He was perfect to be the NXT champion
for sure. And like not a particularly long one either. Though I don't think people really remember like the him and Drew period of NXT. It's the one that like sandwiched in between this period and
I barely do, and I was at the show the next year where Drew won the title, and I barely remember it.
Because the Undisputed Era came along and wiped it all away.
Yeah, and all of my joy with it.
Yeah.
There's a quick promo for the Sanity Stable.
Which, boy, is that going to wind up being some weird shit.
Yeah. Triple H debuts the trophy for the Cruiserweight Classic, which was designed by the guys from American Chopper. This was really weird, awkward.
Okay.
Paul
So,
Sr. did not look like he wanted to be there.
Steve, what is American Chopper? Let's dive down a rabbit hole.
Okay, so American Chopper was a reality show on A&E. I don't remember what channel it was, and it was just about like this bike shop in Orange County where they would build like custom motorcycles, and just every week they would they'd build a different special motorcycle. I'm pretty sure Goldberg was on an episode at one point. Yep. It was just the same thing every week. They'd be like, we're never going to get this done. And like Senior was a hard ass and he'd always be yelling at his son and like the other idiots who worked in the shop. But in the end, they would get it together and they'd get the cool bike made.
I think this mostly exists in the internet's memory. Is that like one meme of like
where they're yelling at each other,
arguing, and then Senior throws the chair.
Yeah, that was every episode.
So, but this show wasn't popular here. That show had probably been at its peak of popularity in like 2006. Like it was not really a thing at this point.
Yeah.
And why would you have a motorcycle shop build a trophy?
The Cruiserweight Classic.
Like what?
Do they even have the ability bikes? I also assume, and they kind of referenced it. I assumed the winner was going to get a motorcycle.
Now that would have been cool as shit.
Triple H would have been all about that.
How funny would it have been to see tiny TJ Perkins trying to drive one of these gigantic monster motorcycles?
Triple H would have come in and pedigreed him and stolen the motorcycle. What would have happened?
That's awesome.
And then we see Ciampa give Gargano a DIY shirt. I think this is the beginning of them being called that. I don't think they had a name before this.
No, they weren't even, they were really just like a sporadic team before this.
Yeah.
They were in the Cruiserweight Classic and they had a match together in like the quarterfinals.
They had a great match.
They literally had a match so good that it tied them together forever in the eyes of this company.
We should probably do a show on the Cruiserweight Classic sometime.
Next year will be
the 10th anniversary, believe it or not.
That one and like the Mae Young Cup. It would be so interesting to see where all of those people went.
It will be crazy to look at who was in that, because I'm sure there's all kinds of people who were in that who I don't remember were in that, who are big deals now.
Yeah.
Especially the Mae Young one, because I don't remember anything about that. I remember the Cruiserweight Classic pretty well.
Yeah, the Mae Young one, like literally everyone from that thing went on to do something, I feel like.
And then we get the tag title match. We got the Revival defending against DIY. Ciampa and Gargano, I think they were initially put together in the Dusty Rhodes Classic the year before this, but like they really didn't get momentum until they had that great match in the Cruiserweight Classic. And we assumed they were going to split up, but instead it bonded them together.
Yep. And it's so funny because like them being bonded together in that way, they really become like the NXT crowd's people.
Yeah.
Like these are like the outcast sons that they decide to adopt. And like I really can't express to you guys just how over these two get in front of this crowd. If you weren't there for like the moment where Ciampa turns our Gargano, it's one of like the 10 hottest heel turns of all time.
Yeah, I remember how well done that was and like how heartbreaking it was.
Like you genuinely did not know it was happening until the moment the chair hit. It was horrifying.
No, they did the great thing where they even put like the signature up so it looked like the show was ending, and then he attacked him.
Yeah, literally it was like he was like put his arm around his shoulders, he was walking him to the back injured as the show was literally like going black, and then he throws him into the set or some shit.
Good times. All right. So both DIY guys hit dives to the floor early in the match. Revival cut off Ciampa and isolate him. They do a bunch of classic tag spots, including the referee not seeing the hot tag. The Revival were such a breath of fresh air at this time. It felt like we hadn't had a great heel tag team in so long at this point. Can't really count the New Day because they were so their own different style.
It's funny too because I don't know where they came from.
North Carolina Indies, I think.
Yeah, they were just like random indie guys. They come out of fucking left field one day as a put together perfect tag team.
Yeah. It's like, oh shit, we got the new Tully Blanchard and Arn Anderson right here.
The reason that people like kept being like it became like a thing on the internet. The Revival versus the Young Bucks. That's what the world needs. And it's because I don't think I've ever seen two teams with as much chemistry together as those two do. And when we got it, it fucking ruled.
Ciampa's finally able to tag in Gargano. They hit everything they've got, and it looks like they get the pin, but it turns out Harwood's foot was on the ropes. They shot this so well because you couldn't see the foot.
Yeah, they literally have to like show the replay to show that that Wilder put it on the ropes. It's like, oh, heartbreaking.
The Revival take out Gargano's knee, put him in a reverse figure 4, and he has to tap out. What a great match. I remember so much when they finally beat them. Didn't they do the spot where they were like both in submissions and they both look like they're going to tap out? Instead, they grab each other's hands.
They grabbed each other's hands so neither one of them could tap out, and then they reversed them together.
God. Unbelievable stuff.
And it's like, it was the best and worst of NXT because in Ciampa and Gargano, they found like the perfect conduit for what Triple H was trying to do, but then they just way overdid it.
Yeah, 45-minute match where they're both like crying and staring at their hands melodramatically because they're hurting their friends so bad.
Kicking out of like having a bomb dropped on you and shit.
Yeah, it got self-indulgent.
Yeah.
Before the next match, we see Sasha, Bayley, Becky, and Charlotte in the front row.
Now, I had a suspicion at the time of what was going to happen here, and I was wrong. But I have a wish that we'll go over here in a second.
Wait, we forgot to talk about what did we think of the Revival and DIY.
Oh, right.
I think I would have said DIY, great for NXT, probably not going to make it on the main roster because Vince just isn't going to get it.
I thought DIY were going to be jobbers. I thought there was no way they were even going to leave NXT. I thought it was a miracle they were even getting to do anything here. I thought they were just like the team of the week getting beat by the Revival. I thought the Revival were going to save tag team wrestling.
Me too. And they kind of did.
But not in the way that we thought. They got to the main roster and spent 2 years doing jack fucking shit. Because Vince didn't get it.
Vince hates tag teams.
But then they're the ones who forced their way out of WWE, providing the example of how to do that to everybody else. So they're really kind of like union heroes for this era.
Next up for the women's title, Asuka defends against Bayley. So 1 year ago in Brooklyn, Bayley finally beat Sasha and won the title. She held it until WrestleMania weekend in Dallas, where she was choked out by Asuka. And they did a kayfabe injury to hold off the rematch until here because they wanted to do it here rather than at Full Sail.
Now, Asuka has arrived.
Yeah.
And they are portraying her as an unbeatable, untouchable hybrid wrestler, like the likes of which has never existed. She's the only wrestler in WWE history that I can remember that's allowed to have like multiple finishing moves. Like every match ends a different way.
Good point. Gunther today.
Yeah, that's true. But like literally, like she would choke you out. She would kick you in the head. She would fly. Like there was no way to win. Like,
no one's ready for Asuka.
That was her catchphrase, and it was literally representative of the fact that she felt like a wrestler from the future come back to beat everyone. Like she was in a style that we were just coming out of like the Bella Twins era, and here's Asuka doing shit no woman has ever done in WWE.
So what were you expecting here?
I was expecting Bayley to win. I have to assume everyone was.
I thought you were gonna. I thought you were gonna say you thought they were gonna do like a Bayley gets absolutely destroyed in 5 minutes type deal, and
that's
then
what
Asuka,
I wanted.
And then Asuka can challenge like Charlotte, who's in the front row here.
Okay, I'm glad that you said that because that's exactly what should have happened.
It should have happened. Yeah, she should have
happened is
destroyed Bayley and then held the title up in front of all those women and been like, "Come and get it. You're not ready for Asuka."
Yes, she should have gone up there. They should have showed. a camera image of all of them looking like scared of like how much
you could have each of them have a different reaction that's in character.
Yeah. Like Charlotte would have been like, "Huh, interesting." Sasha would have been like mad that Bayley got taken out that way, but like Becky could have looked scared.
Yeah.
And like because Asuka should have been like, "It's time. Like I'm coming for you all now." And she should have killed them all one by one.
Yep. And then Ronda Rousey could have been the one to beat her.
Her coming up at the same time as Ronda Rousey coming in should have been the most obvious money-making opportunity in women's wrestling history. Like, when are you ever again going to create an unstoppable, unbeatable menace like Asuka? It hasn't happened yet.
It's really one of a kind.
Yeah.
So Bayley starts out hitting a crossbody. Asuka answers with a shining wizard. Bayley fires up. She rope-a-dopes Asuka, trying to let her punch herself out. Asuka hits her with a spinning backhand that drops her to her knees. Holy shit.
Jesus Christ.
Nastiest spinning backhand we've seen from a woman since, was it Asia Kong who did one in a match on Raw, and it like made Vince like ban women's wrestling because it was way too brutal.
Which is so funny because like she always maintained that she like didn't even connect. It's just that she's good, and Vince wasn't used to seeing women's wrestlers actually do stuff well.
Bayley, I don't know what she was going for here, but she ends up hitting a dominator. It looked like maybe she was going for an Argentine backbreaker and was struggling to get her up.
Yeah, she just spikes her right on the stomach. It's fantastic.
Bayley hits the Bayley to belly, but she only gets 2. Asuka catches Bayley going for a clothesline and gets her in the Asuka lock. Bayley makes the ropes, but Asuka just wrecks her with kicks, knocks her out, and pins her. Loved it. Tight, lean, hard-hitting, physical. I loved how just like physical and psychologically sound these NXT women's matches would be. It was just felt like they were like, we're not going to do any bullshit because we're trying to like show the world that we're real wrestlers.
I want to just give a quick shout out to the reason that the women's revolution, the real one, actually happened. Sarah Del Rey, I know that you're out there. You are singularly the reason why the women were developed 55 times faster than the men during this era. My God, what a talent. Oh, God. I will say, too, like, I'm stunned at, like, they just kept finding new women who, like, to insert into this who were just all pretty excellent. But, like, this era is special. I thought at this point that Bayley could be like John Cena big.
Wow. For girls, yeah.
Yeah, but it's just such a crowd-pleasing act, right? Yeah. She has everything. She's like one of the most genuinely likable people in wrestling history.
She ends up having just what a strange run she's had.
The fact that she's recovered it to have a Hall of Fame career is a total testament to her. Like
the twists and turns. I mean, just like they totally botched her first, 5 years with it's such an obvious storyline for her. They could have just redone the exact storyline she did in NXT, but with her beating Charlotte at the end. And instead they had that whole mess of her winning the belt on Raw, then losing it at the pay-per-view, losing it at WrestleMania. The whole weird like thing with Sasha where they just never turned on each other for some reason.
So that just kind of went on forever. And then they both turned together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And whatever became of her character after that. Moody teenager, hipster. Now, I don't know. She kind of barely has a character now. She's,
now she's just a legend. Like she's just she's the last callback to the previous era, basically, kind of thing. And she should be appreciated. Like she fought her way through the worst booking imaginable to come through it, and bless her for doing so. But I really thought she could have been and should have been way bigger than Charlotte, way bigger than Sasha. Like this gimmick was ready, And Vince didn't see it. If I had a fucking dollar for every time I said that.
And same thing with Asuka. Vince didn't
Yeah,
get it.
let me see what the actual score. I gave Asuka A- in the ring, A as a star, and B+ is ready. And I gave Bailey an A- in the ring, an A+ as a star, and an A- in ready. Yeah,
Wow.
that's not a lot. Rarefied territory up there with like Velveteen Dream and Paige is some of my top prospects ever.
Neither of these did a fraction of what they should. Neither of them did a fraction of what they should have.
I wonder how far you'd have to go down my biggest like potential star ratings before somebody actually did what they were supposed to. But there's the thing: no one in this era did what they should have been.
No. And
no
like,
one.
You can't say it's on the talent when it's that widespread.
No.
Like it's the bucket and it's the creative. It's the horrible transitions they would do from NXT to the main roster, where they would just call them up and pretend like, oh, people know who this person is, right?
Yeah, going down the list of all of these people I have on it, it's like unbelievable talent here, world-changing talent that would shape the next decade, and they just fuck them all up.
This is Bailey's farewell to NXT. She gets a huge ovation. She hugs Sasha, Bailey, Charlotte, her mom, and that little girl who dresses like her.
Hey, funny thing about that little girl, she's a wrestler now.
Oh,
and
shit!
I believe she has a WWE ID contract. Like she's yeah.
She's like 22 now or something.
Yeah, she dresses like Bailey from this era.
That kind of rocks, actually.
Yeah.
I hope she's good.
She's apparently pretty good. Apparently, there are a lot of men who've been sexualizing her online since she was 14. So
dear.
Don't go on a deep dive.
A miracle if she turns out normal after that.
Agreed.
We see Joe making a beeline for the ring. I didn't clock. Did he have any famous security guards here?
Yes, this is the most famous security guard he ever had. This is the one where he shoves Maxwell Jacob Friedman into the wall.
That's it. I didn't catch that.
Yep. The most famous one ever, where Max starts walking too fast, so he shoves him into the wall. This literally came up in a feud between the two last year.
And then we see Nakamura warming up.
And he's so cool.
And it's time for the main event. The match the world has come to see. Samoa Joe defends the NXT Championship against Shinsuke Nakamura. This is what the world has come to.
Now, what Triple H understood maybe better than any other wrestler or wrestling promoter ever was the impact of the big special entrance. Yeah. NXT had this shit all the time. Like every takeover, somebody would get like a big dramatic special entrance. And they hit them out of the park more often than not. But these were the viral moments that made people notice NXT. I feel like these have gone away a little now, but like it used to happen all the time. And here,
AEW does it now.
Yeah. And here, Nakamura gets the one I've watched probably 10,000 times.
This guy plays the hell out of this violin.
Just
he's
the
on fire.
He's backlit and he's pulling the bow out of its like sleeve on his back, and he starts. This is the second best version of this. The one where he debuted on SmackDown, where they do this again, is maybe the best introduction any wrestler's ever got.
And Joe looks like an absolute badass storm into the ring.
Yeah, Nakamura gets like 20-minute entrance where they play his music constantly and the crowd singing along, and it's artsy and it's beautiful. And then Joe just storms out to his entrance that sounds like Godzilla is coming.
Early on, Nakamura goes for a knee drop with Joe on the apron. I think he's supposed to hit the apron, but he clearly misses it, but sells it like that. This made me laugh. I loved it.
Oh, yeah.
Joe follows up with a suicide dive. They go back in the ring. Joe hits a power bomb into the Boston Crab, transitions to the STF. Nakamura gets out. He hits a kick. He hits some more offense. He goes for a cross arm breaker, but Joe blocks it. Joe hits Nakamura with a nasty clothesline, and then puts him in the coquina clutch, but Nakamura gets to the ropes, and then he hits a back suplex where he just drops Joe square on his head.
Do you think both of these guys were excited to work with someone else who knew how to do strong styles?
Probably, yeah.
Like, the only other person in the locker room who won't complain when I do moves properly. Let's go.
Nakamura goes for the Kinshasa, but Joe catches him with a power slam. Then he hits the Muscle Buster, but he can only get 2.
I can't think of like a bunch of people who have kicked out of the Muscle Buster.
It's rare. Nakamura comes back with the Kinshasa, but Joe kicks out of it. Nakamura hits a knee off the second rope and another Kinshasa to get the 1, 2, 3. This was probably the best match of Nakamura's WWE run. Hasn't exactly, distinguished himself.
It's funny because if you put yourself back in the shoes of that time, none of us noticed that he wasn't having awesome matches. And I do think that the Sami Zayn match
that was really good, yeah.
But like, he's just got so much presence and charisma and everything that you don't even really notice that the matches aren't as good as everybody else's, because who gives a shit? It's a show. He is manifesting this character so unbelievably strongly. What can you even say about it? I would have had him as one of my biggest prospects of all time if I believed with even an ounce of my soul that Vince McMahon wouldn't fuck him up. And lo and behold.
Oh, God. Yeah. In the history of people Vince didn't get, Nakamura feels number 1 on the list.
But like, it's so funny because he almost pushed him anyway. Like,
yeah.
he realized that other people disagreed with him, so he would push him. But he just get to the point where he was like, no, I don't see it. I'm sorry. I can't give him the belt. I just don't see it.
When I think they figured out how to present him was when they started having him do the pre-taped promos in Japanese that were subtitled, and suddenly
the black and white promos in Japanese were so amazing.
Yeah, suddenly he had aura.
The problem is that by then they'd beaten him so bad. I just don't think they could get him anything.
Like physically, he doesn't have a ton left anymore. If they'd hit on that earlier, I think he really could have been big.
If I were a Japanese wrestler, and it seems like all of them going to AEW kind of bears this out, but like, look at the history. Like, I guess you could say that Io Sky is the best promoted Japanese wrestler in WWE history. Yeah. But like,
not great, Bob.
It's not great. They've made a joke of all of them at one point or another.
And where did you think Joe was going? I wasn't sure he was ever going to come to the main roster. I thought he might be NXT for life.
Yeah, I thought there was just going to be kind of like a crew of indie guys cycling through NXT forever, and that Joe was one of them. I was stunned when he came to the main roster. Much more stunned. He had more success on the main roster than I certainly thought he was gonna.
Yeah, ended up becoming a main eventer. Never quite the world champion, but easily could have been.
Turns out he learned how to cut a promo somewhere along the way. That was special. TNA was probably pretty bitter about that.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, man.
All right. Overall, good. Not nearly the show they had last year, though.
I got to say this. I didn't like this show, and I wanted it to be better because I wanted to come back and have it be like a revelation. Like, oh, yeah, this was the shit. When you go back and look, this just kind of feels like the vestigial beginnings of the boom period we're in now. Like, you see parts of this and what we have now, and it just kind of looks like the baby cringy version of it. It didn't resonate the way it did at the time, but how could it? We've had AEW since. AEW is what we wanted when what we were getting was NXT, and then when we got AEW, we all abandoned NXT.
All right, Twitter questions. The Good, the Bad, and the Nerdy asks, since Bayley was about to be called up to Raw and Asuka never got defeated for the NXT title, who would you have booked to beat Asuka for the title? I mean, I think it was going to be Ember Moon, and that's the person who would have made the most sense, but Ember got hurt. Or Asuka got hurt, right? She broke her collarbone.
Yeah. Okay, genuine question. Are you asking me who I would have chosen from Vince's options, or do I actually get to pick?
Oh, I think it's more interesting if you just get to pick anybody.
No one ever.
No one would ever have been ready for Asuka.
I wouldn't have had her lose that belt. I would have just
No.
had them retire it when she left.
She can just vacate it once she goes to the main roster.
Yeah, once she won the women's belt, she just hands it back to William Regal.
No one was ready for Asuka.
I would have had her not lose a match until she lost to Ronda. I would have had her go away.
That would have been SummerSlam 2018.
Yeah, I would have had her stay, go home for 6 months, come back, challenge Ronda again at WrestleMania, and then who knows after that. But yeah.
AJ Jones asks, both Nia and Baron Corbin were called up to the main roster this year. Which would you have believed would have benefited more from staying in NXT another year for seasoning?
What a question.
I mean, I guess, God, I don't know. You would think Nia would have more potential, but of the two, I think Corbin is the one who actually developed more over time.
Guys, you could have sent these two fuckers to the fucking New Japan dojo and you wouldn't have gotten a good wrestler out of it.
I once compared Baron Corbin to Batista, I'll have you know.
You sure did, buddy. It's okay. I once compared Sheamus to Kenta Kobashi. We've all done it.
I think you were closer to being right than I was.
Listen, I also thought that Baron Corbin had aura and potential at the time. I remember seeing the first squash match that I saw him do and being like, wow, that guy's got something.
WrestleMania.
But then he went bald and they changed it all. I don't think inexperience was the problem for either of these two people. They were just never going to be more than what they were going to be.
AJ Jones also asks, would you have kept Joe as the champ here to break Nakamura's streak and have him chase? I feel like, probably, because I think they just ended up going back to a rematch anyway.
I don't think they had plans for Nakamura for Joe long term. I see what you're saying, that it just would have made sense to do that since they go to like a cage match or something after that. Oh, and Joe actually beats him the following month, so he only holds it for a month. Wow. Okay, then I would have had him I would have just had him retain it then.
Yeah, because they ended up calling Joe up until WrestleMania. He's around for a while.
Yeah. And then Nakamura gets it back, and then Bobby Roode beats him the following takeover. So, I mean, I guess.
Johnny asks, not necessarily a question from this show, but who do you guys think is the most obvious star that never panned out from NXT 2016 to 2020? Also random, but just watched NXT TakeOver Brooklyn 4, and Velveteen Dream wore tights saying, call me up, Vince. Well, the problem wasn't who Vince was calling. It was who Velveteen was calling. But no, I think Velveteen might be the most obvious star that didn't pan out, but it's for totally understandable and acceptable reasons.
Yeah, that's not the answer to this question because all of us knew that Velveteen was the future. My God.
Ruining underage boys is a perfectly good reason to not get called up and pan out.
Sometimes I literally sit and think about what Velveteen could have been.
The Black Rick Rude.
I think he could have been the Black Macho Man eventually.
Man, was he good?
He had crossover charisma. Enter a room and own it charisma.
And he's a rare case. I feel like has he wrestled anywhere of any significance, or is he a rare case of a cancellation actually sticking in wrestling?
I believe he was wrestling for a promotion a couple of months ago, but then
they got shamed out of it. Yeah,
everybody blacklisted him. Yeah, sheesh. But I do there are other people in wrestling who have done bad things like that. I feel like his has stuck because of the betrayal. It felt because it's like some Anakin Skywalker shit. You were the chosen one. And you were a fucking pedophile. You were. Fuck you. My answer to this, I went through and I crunched the numbers, and the highest ranking person who wasn't an obvious main eventer or whatever, I thought American Alpha were going to become the new Steiner.
Oh, I loved American Alpha, and they split him up. They didn't really push him. They split him up too soon, and then Jason Jordan had his neck injury.
Yeah, I specifically think that Jason Jordan could have been a big star. I even think that if he hadn't had the neck injury, that Kurt Angle storyline would have made him a big star. I think it was working as much as people bag on it.
Yeah. And
I
to
just
this
think,
day, Gable is doing great stuff.
yeah, they were just both so unbelievably talented, so great together, had such charisma. Their matches were awesome. Like, the world was at their feet, and it all went to hell.
All right. Do we have a Stump Steve?
We do have a Stump Steve. Steve, this is our very first NXT Stump Steve. So I went and found a nice, interesting, tasty bit for you, okay? So in the history of NXT, let's stop that history at the time that Braun Breaker won the belt back from Dolph Ziggler, okay? So that's like 2023. There have been 20 champions in NXT history. 3 of them never won any title on the main roster whatsoever.
Ooh.
Can you name those 3 men?
Okay. Might just have to go through as many of them in order as I can think of. The first NXT champion was Seth Rollins, correct?
Correct.
Obviously, he's won many titles on the main roster.
Uh-huh.
And
I'm happy to tell you who the champions have been, too. That's okay.
Oh, he lost it to Big E, who's obviously
Yep.
who won many titles. Big E lost it to. Oh, okay. First one I can think of is Bo Dallas, right?
Bo Dallas has won the tag team titles.
What?
As a member, I believe, as a member of the Miz Taraj.
Oh my God, I don't remember that.
Nope. Yeah, he won the Raw Tag Team Championship with Curtis Angel.
Jesus Christ.
And he's a one-time 24/7 champion.
Oh, that doesn't. Okay. Never won a title on the main roster. I mean, Shinsuke did, Bobby Roode did, Joe did.
I will say that
Sammy. Oh, yeah, Neville did.
None of these men won the belt before, let's say,
it's got to be later.
Yeah, it's later into the black and gold era, as they say.
Yeah, the era I didn't like.
I will tell you
Adam
that
Cole.
Adam Cole is one of them. He never won a belt on the main roster. All 3 of these men won the belt in a row.
Oh God, I don't remember. I'm trying to remember who else was champion like in that era. Ciampa and Gargano, did they ever win the tag titles on the main roster?
They have won the tag titles on the main roster, yes.
Didn't they do it like in the last 6 months?
Literally, yeah.
Shows how much attention I've been paying to them. I don't watch SmackDown.
One of these men has not wrestled in years. Another one is on the shows right now.
God, who else had this title? I mean, Drew.
One is considered to be the worst NXT champion of all time.
Ooh, that's bold. Worse than Adam Cole.
Oh, much worse.
Who is that?
That, my friend, is Karrion Kross. 2-time NXT champion Karrion Kross.
Ever since somebody posted that thing about him not being able to take a back bump,
I'll never take him seriously.
I can't unsee it.
Now, there was, for this last person, a famous GIF from the feud between Adam Cole and this person, where this person beat Adam Cole for the title, where this person pounced Adam Cole into the crowd.
Oh. Was it Lars Anderson?
It was not. I believe you're thinking of Lars Sullivan.
Lars Sullivan. Is he ever called Lars Anderson?
I don't think so.
It would have been kind of fun if he was some kind of mutant clone of Arn Anderson.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
Managed by Ken Anderson. All right, you give up?
Yeah.
We're looking for Keith Lee as the other one.
Look, I just don't remember that any of these people were the NXT champion. I did not. I stopped paying attention to NXT in like 2018, 2019.
Yes, pretty much everybody stopped watching in the Tommaso Ciampa title reign in 2018.
And then,
these
like,
were the
even when
these
they
were
got
the
on
next
TV,
title
didn't
holders.
bother to watch it.
Yeah, then people came back after Finn Balor came down and won it.
Yeah.
But yeah, this was in between.
Oof, rough
I
time.
stumped Steve, you motherfucker.
Did. All right. Next week, we agreed we are going to do they're going to do something very different, and I'm excited for it. We are going to try to cover the 2019 G1 Climax tournament.
Yeah.
Not just the final show. We're going to try to cover the tournament as a whole. I had you pick out, some of basically the most notable matches, whether they were good, whether they were bad, whether they were just important for one reason or another. So we're going to do a collection of matches. We're going to have Okada versus Tanahashi. We're going to have Kenta versus Tanahashi. What else are we going to have? I know there's a Jon Moxley match in there.
Yeah, there's Jon Moxley versus Juice Robinson. There's Yano's hilarious upset of Naito. Sonata Okada, which was an unbelievable match that made people believe that Sonata could actually be a big star one day, and he can't. Zack Sabre Jr. versus Will Ospreay. And the final, where Kota Ibushi faces Jay White in maybe the best G1 final of all time.
Yeah, so this is going to be interesting. It's just going to be different. We'll see if we can pull it off. But, nearly 10 years into this thing, we've got to experiment a little bit.
Yeah. Well, so basically, they're all on different days of the tournament.
Yeah.
So as we proceed through the matches, we're going to be telling the story of the tournament as it continued on. It's probably the most research and work I'm going to have ever done on this podcast, but since Steve usually does all of it and I do none, I think that's only fair.
And you said you think this is the best G1 ever, right?
I think I will stake my claim that this is the greatest G1 of all time.
Oof, that's a big legacy.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, we'll have all that and more next time on the Lawcast. Thanks for listening. We'll see you again next time.